Hello everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight I am baking my sourdough bread. I made the dough yesterday, so this is the process. And I want to first off tell you, I am not an expert at making sourdough. This is probably only my 5th loaf, maybe 6th. So I just want to show you the process that I go through when I make this bread, and I'm not really telling you how to do it. I'm just saying this is how I've done it with help from friends and advice and watching a lot of videos. So this is how I make the bread. You're going to start off with 100 grams of sourdough starter, 350 grams of water, and you have to have a scale for this to be precise and get your measurements exact. And then I add 10 grams of salt to that mixture of water and sourdough starter. And you're just going to mix that up and get that good and smooth. And then you're going to add 500 grams of flour. And I'm going to go ahead and measure my flour out into a separate bowl so I can control exactly how much flour I pour into that bowl at one time. So just watch your scale, and this way it's easy to remove if you get too much. So there's 500 grams. I'm just going to add that to my sourdough starter mixture with water and salt, and you're going to mix that up. And I have this, I'm not even sure what it's called. It's a dough spatula, dough mixer, dough whisk. I don't know. It has a name, and I can put the link in the description. And if you're interested in those, it does seem to help mix up your dough. But you're going to mix it until it comes together and starts forming a ball. And they're going to call this, and the terminology is all new to me. Like I said, I'm pretty new at this. But you're going to form what is called a shaggy dough. So it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and scrape the sides of the bowl and get it all nice and neat. And I'm going to use a rubber spatula for that. Then we're just going to cover this with a damp tea cloth for 1 hour. Just let it rest on the counter for 1 hour. I just want to make sure that I have all the dry ingredients mixed together. So there we go. We have our shaggy dough. And cover it, like I said, for 1 hour and let it rest on the counter. After 1 hour, you're going to start your first of 4 stretch and folds. So just going to gently stretch it up and fold it over itself and give it a quarter turn, and that until you have done it for 4 times. So that is 3, now 4. You're going to cover it again after the 4th and let it sit for 30 minutes. I will say that it's easier to do your stretch and folds if you'll wet your hands a little bit. The dough won't stick to your hands as bad. And there's the second set, and here's the third set. Stretch and fold over and turn a quarter turn with your bowl. And it kind of gets harder as you go, but the dough begins to get smooth. You can see now how smooth the dough is. Do you want to be gentle? You don't want to break. You don't want to break your dough. or pull it apart. So be very careful. I find these last stretch and folds are the hardest to get it to stretch very far. And maybe there's a better technique. I haven't learned it yet. I'm going to get it nice and neat in the bowl. Cover it again. And one more stretch and fold. One more set. And this is pretty much real time. I did speed up the process on that second set, but this is real time. And it's so rewarding and so satisfying to make bread. I never dreamed how satisfying it could make me feel to be able to make a loaf of bread and my family and my friends enjoy it. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit on the counter until it doubles in size. So that sat for about 12 to 14 hours. And now I'm going to shape my dough. I'll let it sit on the counter overnight and most of the next day. So you're going to let gravity pull it out of the bowl as much as possible. I did help it along with the spatula, loosening it from the sides of the bowl. But it's just going to come out. You want to flour your surface just a little bit, and I use rice flour. It doesn't get sticky. So there we are. Then you're going to kind of flatten it out into a rectangle shape. This is called laminating, I believe is the term. And I'm going to make this cheddar with an inclusion of cheddar cheese. So I have some shredded cheddar that I'm just going to distribute down the middle of my rectangle of dough. Then you're going to fold it over, kind of like a burrito. Just fold one side over that middle. Fold it halfway, kind of like you were folding a letter that you're going to mail and put it in an envelope. Put more cheddar down the middle of it and fold the other side over on the top. And again, if you wet your fingers, it doesn't stick as bad. And this wasn't very sticky, it was just perfect. You're gonna roll that. So I had to wet my fingers. So this is the part that I'm not an expert at, but you're going to tuck and roll and pull towards you. Tuck it and put some tension on the top surface of that ball of dough. This is the shaping process, and I'm not, once again, not the best at this. It takes a lot of practice, I believe. Then I have a banneton that I've seasoned with rice flour. You want it coated with rice flour so that it doesn't stick. And that wasn't beautiful, I admit it, but you want to put it in there upside down and kind of stitch the seams of your bread so that it doesn't come apart on the bottom. And I'm kind of getting a little bit of flour on my fingers that's on the surface of my counter. And then I'm going to cover this again with a wet towel, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. I did put it in the refrigerator for about an hour, but then decided to let it complete its rising on the counter throughout this day, and then I could bake it before I went to bed tonight. So I'm going to clean up my surface and move on to something else while that is rising in the refrigerator. I really want to emphasize that I am not an expert at this. I have had help. I've watched videos. I've watched lots of how-tos and talked to people about how to make sourdough bread. My daughter-in-law is really good at it, and she provided me with my first sourdough starter. And so I've kept that alive now for several months. It's almost summer, and I'm excited to be making more bread. School's out, and I can be home and hopefully get a little bit better at it. Just takes practice, and I appreciate everyone who has helped me. So, hey, these are the bowls my mom gave me. I really love these bowls. They're vintage, perfect for making bread. So I just wanted to show those off for just a second. So now it's time to bake the bread. It's evening now. So I've turned the dough out onto parchment paper out of the Banneton, and I've dusted it with rice flour. So I'm going to cut my deepest cut on the right side, and then on the left side just some decorative cuts. I'm not great at this yet, but just a little design. You're going to preheat your oven. I preheat my oven to 425 degrees, and you're going to put your Dutch oven in there as well to get that at the temperature of the oven. And then you're just going to drop your dough into the Dutch oven carefully and replace the lid and put the Dutch oven back into the oven for 30 minutes at 425 degrees. The first couple of loaves I baked at 450, and they were burning on the bottom. So I backed my temperature down. So this is what it looks like after 30 minutes, and you're going to take the lid off, put it back in the oven for 30 more minutes. And here we are after the second 30 minutes. It's ready to take out of the oven, and I'm going to plop it down onto a wire rack so it can cool. And I'm going to have a hard time waiting to cut it and see how it looks inside. Okay, so I've let it cool for about an hour, and I am ready to cut into it. And it feels nice and soft, and I'm so anticipating what's inside. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then from the half I will make the slices. So it actually looks like it might have over fermented just a little bit. I have bigger air pockets in the middle, but it's nice and soft. It's not sticky, and I think we will enjoy this very much. So the first slice is the best to me. I put some butter on it and enjoyed. So if you've watched to the end, I appreciate you so much.